Okay, we're now at the little town of Yuliang, Y-U-L-I-N. Anyway, that's the Yuliang Dam. And this apparently is the entrance to the town. But otherwise, fewer tourists. There's some interesting boats. Light little kayak type things. They're a large old bridge. Here what I think is called a sampan. I'd like to ride in one. I haven't yet. Probably will in Hong Kong. This is a person tending a small bit of crops just below the wall here. You can see from the entrance of this building, not yet opened, how relatively easy it is for the Chinese to recreate the past. Some old buildings, how old, don't really know, but at least the upper story is made of wood, and probably a good part of the lower story in between the cement structure and rock. It's a great view. I like the second floor of wood. So interesting. This is a much older, complete city relative to where we just were. Chongbao Ancestral Hall, also called the Dam Ancestral Hall, constructed in the late Qing dynasty, probably the same time as the dam. It's a pertinence of the Yuliang Dam, which is, here they offered sacrifices to the officials and the gentry who made contributions since the Tang dynasty. After repairing the dam in 1905, they inscribed the names of those contributors, and therefore it became an ancestral hall. This is interesting. I have no idea what it is, although it looks like there probably would have been a handle like this on that side, made of wood, for carrying that, lifting that off of this carrying truck here, which is pretty substantial. So the same kind of design we're used to seeing in the houses. I'd love to get something like this that could fly out on my deck on windy days. This probably is a relatively new, I mean the last several hundred years. Originally constructed probably between rock walls rather than cement walls. Although it could be original, could be brick in behind there, looks like it is. Probably these poles used for drying not only poles, but maybe crops of some sort, and maybe other things. Or it may have been a basis for still yet another little awning ridge. Any excuse for a garden is a very good excuse. And it must be continually tended to. Some kind of strange fruit tree. Strange to me. The guide pointed it out to the Chinese, so maybe it is to them also. Here another of these large birds, relatively speaking, maintains its lonely vigil. But it's a good paradigm for some of the mean towns I've been in. If you don't know anything different than that, then as far as you're concerned, life's good. He's eating and drinking, has some activity around him. So I may have to eat my words. It may well be that all of this is very original. Notice the long makeshift oar. Again, everything made from bamboo, why not? When you can carry those heavy loads the women carry in a half of a stalk of bamboo, and it's been slit in half. Notice the stone in that wall. May well be original. I think for an artist, the angles here, and the shadows, and the lights, and the colors, muted, would be a draw. Can I see again?
No.
Oh, yes.
Since
It's that thin rice. Ah, very interesting. And here's the machine. See these little lines right here? Those are little grooves. Yeah. So it goes through there and then up through there. Wow. Shishini. Badaofu Transport House. Constructed in late Qing Dynasty. Firm for tea turnover and management. In other words, a middleman, I think. The freighter in ancient times. People would temporarily deposit their goods and then disperse them to the periphery areas. It has 2 stories and 3 entrances. A shop in the front, 2 rooms in the back. The 2 entrances of the front part connect 2 buildings and form a large space for storage. The gate faces the street, seems to say has crushed deadbolts for keeping safe. So here we have a truly original building, not that the others aren't. Look at the quaint windows. These shelves, typical of a store, remind me of the shelves in my grandfather's store in Brandon, Manitoba, which, believe it or not, at this point in time are stored in the basement of the museum, waiting for some time to build a portion of the museum to house them. Let's climb this stairway and imagine the coolies that carried bales of hay or of tea up here to store. The years that it was used, the transactions it saw, the good times and the bad times of China history. Was this for storage, or was that window for hauling stuff up and down, letting it down? Or were there offices up here of the man who owned this enterprise? Imagine the shouts, the talks that went on from here. It looks like it wasn't that long ago. And what was this structure over here? We'll have to go downstairs and see what it is. It looks like it's a flue of some sort. Imagine that we stood here as the original owner, watching his building built. Inside we can see how this roof is built. It has, as you can see, pieces of wood that run from that support down to this support, and it's on those that the lower concave row of tile are placed, and then the convex ones, or the ones that are turned back over, are laid on top of, and therefore inside the convexity of the two. As I started down from this floor to step down, I reached out and grabbed this piece, and then wondered how many men have grabbed it before me. And there, perhaps the original piece of stone that held, that may be the original post. We're in somebody's house, but there's the flue. It goes up. So something in the way of processing took place here. These are probably the original cabinets, original shelves that were here. People live in here. Yao River Lane.